Barbie, wake up.
Hey.
Come on, Barbie, let's go Barbie. You know, there are many great songs. And then there's the Barbie theme song, which has been ingrained in our brains, irrespective of gender. Barbie has been growing and evolving ever since 1959, when Mattel launched her and catapulted her into fame. Created by Ruth Handler, Barbie has seen nothing but adoration and has decorated our homes over generations, and is seen as a benchmark in the fashion doll industry. Yet, the doll has faced backlashes over the decades for stereotyping beauty, white supremacy, and even brainwashing young girls into conforming to standards of femininity. Consequently, Barbie's production over the years has aimed to be more progressive by representing people of color, women in various professions, and recently, by partnering with Greta Gerwig, she even managed to kick the ass of patriarchy. However, besides all the achievements, people have witnessed some very creepy Barbie dolls, which could arguably give Chucky a run for his money. So without any more delay, let's pull in our ever-beautiful Barbie into the little Halloween world and check out the eeriest dolls ever marketed. Disclaimer: the perceptions might just be fully subjective, but as I always say, when October leans toward its end, there's this inherent urge to judge things through a spectral lens. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The pregnant Barbie. Okay, you're selling a doll for little kids, and you decide to make it pregnant. Still acceptable, but why on earth did they decide to keep a fetus inside the expecting Barbie's belly, which could be visible once the baby bump cover was removed? No one would ever know. In 2002, Mattel thought it would be brilliant to launch a happy family line in Barbie and made Midge, Barbie's best friend, pregnant. However, it was nothing but odd for a 7 or 8-year-old holding it in their hands, with questions bubbling in their young heads, who always thought Barbie and her friends were teens. Basically, Mattel ended up showing teen pregnancy not as a sex education awareness, but pretty much in a normalized manner, where Midge was supposedly married to an adult, Alan. At least it was perceived that way. There were complaints galore from concerned parents, and this segment had to be discontinued. Over the years, fans have justified it, saying that Midge's marriage was already shown in the 90s, and she was rightfully having a baby. Even if we acknowledge that and throw the idea of teen pregnancy out of the window, I will never understand why the company chose to give Midge the detachable belly. The Yoga Barbie. The Yoga Barbie, or Breathe With Me Barbie doll, was launched as a part of Mattel's Made to Move line shortly before the COVID-19 pandemic. There are quite a few problems with this doll. Firstly, it does not really teach yoga philosophy properly, and might have put children at risk of health issues if a breathing exercise or joint movement went wrong. Secondly, it highlighted Mattel's relentless profit-driven approach when it capitalized on wellness and turned it into a consumerist trend. Moreover, people also complained that this interfered with the spiritual and cultural significance of yoga, which the company brushed under the rug to make money. However, there is a popular theory related to Yoga Barbie that justifies its spot on this list. Some Christian conservatives stated that this Eastern mindfulness practice could invoke demonic entities. A popular influencer linked it to the spread of Satanism. We shrugged it off as some Karen shit talk, and though that was the sane thing to do, I have watched enough horror movies to know that dolls can be quite the harbinger of death. And when you have one that could breathe, you can't really turn a blind eye to whether or not it's easier for that doll to invite something evil. I don't know about you, but I would definitely be spooked if my doll started showing signs of life. Video Girl Barbie doll. Imagine having something in your room, dressed in a lovely costume, that can record whatever you're doing. Yes, Mattel did exactly that when they dropped the Video Girl Barbie doll in 2010. True, the footage wasn't going anywhere unless it fell into the wrong hands, and the camera was no biggie either. It could record a resolution of 320 by 240 footage and hold about 27 minutes of footage. The camera was put inside the necklace worn around Barbie's neck, and the battery compartment was in her thighs. However, the footage could be transferred using a USB, edited, and then have every chance of ending up online. Let alone the scare that someone might get hold of it and use the clips for illegal purposes. The very fact that a lifeless doll with whom kids are playing with is actually able to film them, probably without even their understanding what was happening, makes Video Girl Barbie one of the most skin-crawling things. Most importantly, if we consider the child to be too young to understand what a camera is, this could have inculcated all the wrong ideas into them, and worse, violated their privacy without consent. No matter what purpose the manufacturers had in mind, incorporating technological elements and quiet surveillance into an otherwise innocent toy turned childhood comfort into an unwanted state of paranoia. It soon raised the FBI's eyebrows, leading them to issue an advisory against these dolls. Honestly, I can't imagine the horror parents faced who mistakenly gifted their baby a Barbie that could endanger their safety. The Munster Barbie. Let's rewind to the 1960 TV show The Munsters, which was known for its macabre-themed satire on the American suburban lifestyle. The show was immensely popular, and even got a nomination in the Golden Globe Awards of 1965. In 2001, Mattel decided to pay homage to the show by releasing a collector's item, a beautiful thought indeed. Now, Mattel had a long list of toys, including action figures, Batman, and DC's Demolition Man. They could have chosen anyone to turn into the petrifying-looking monsters for the tribute, but no. Mattel had to turn the most charming-looking thing they had into something ghoulish. Created in the image of the vampire, Lily Munster, Barbie got an eerie tone of greenish skin and wore a light pink gown with dark black hair and the iconic blonde streak. Her look was completed by black fingernails and a bat hanging from her necklace. Ken was metamorphosed into Herman, a reanimated version of Frankenstein's monster, and looked frightful with a high forehead and thick, bushy eyebrows. He also had a flat top head, which appeared as if it could be opened, along with bolts in his neck. Ken, as Herman, wore the quintessential brown suit, charcoal gray sweater, and big boots. The Munster line has been highly appreciated, and Barbie collectors went gaga over it. But can you really unsee how strange it is? World's prettiest doll turned into a creature of the night with a frozen, ghostly smile, while Ken's bolts look like a kind of warning, waiting to be turned around to unleash danger? Probably. I may be reading too much into it, but they turned Barbie into corpses. Teen Talk Barbie. All the horror movie tropes where the doll leaves haunting messages and you can hear a sudden chuckle were amplified tenfold when the Teen Talk Barbie was released in 1992. It had a voice box programmed to speak some encoded phrases when a button was pushed. This particular section of Barbies was highly criticized for portraying the notion that mathematics is tough. It became a controversial topic among educators for falsely suggesting that girls have a poor level of education in the science and mathematics streams. Shoving misogynistic concepts down the throat of young kids is not the only scary part, even though it was later clarified to be unintentional. It's about how eerie it is to possess a non-living thing that can start speaking out of nowhere. Honestly, this Barbie is not weird to look at, but I can't help but think how creepy it could turn in a heartbeat. Picture this. You're a young kid, sleeping alone in your room, already scared of stories about monsters under the bed, and suddenly one wrong turn can push this doll's button, which would start talking. Pitch black room with Barbie's mechanical giggle. Ugh, I would have wet my bed, honest to God. The Birds Barbie. Hitchcock is not for kids. Period. Designing toys based on his films was not exactly the best idea Mattel had back in 2008. The director is known for inducing a sense of dread and impending doom with his movies, and with The Birds of 1963, he made it difficult to look at a flock without imagining that they could turn rogue at any moment. I remember keeping my window shut for quite a few days after I watched the film. So, when The Birds Barbie came out, it accounted for one of the most peculiar figurines in the doll's history. Hitchcock's Barbie was dressed in a green skirt suit similar to what the ill-fated Melanie Daniels was wearing in the movie, with 3 black birds picking on her head and body while she appeared to be in distress. It was not supposed to be sold to kids under 13 years of age. Still, critics could not help but point out the strangeness in commemorating a horror flick with a doll targeted at young children, especially with a troubled expression painted on the face. I know collectors love such unique items, but as someone who just wanted a regular Barbie doll to play with, this sure was a disturbing one. Little Red Riding Hood Barbie. There's nothing wrong with this one on the surface. The gift set of 2008 gave an interesting twist to the evergreen story of Little Red Riding Hood and dressed her in a sassy costume. A short red skirt with a matching cape and white bodysuit. The fishnet stockings, black lace vest, and slim heels completed the look. Basically, she was a modern Little Red Riding Hood, who probably played Taylor Swift on a loop, was visiting her grandma with a basket full of magazines and bread, but the gift pack included something else too. A big bad wolf. That's where it got twisted. Though later versions of the story have toned down the grim ending, the wolf was always the major antagonist. In the original version by Charles Perrault, the animal ends up swallowing both the old woman and her granddaughter. So when Mattel put an anthropomorphic wolf in the toy set with a red cape, yellow boots, and blue vest, one couldn't help but wonder why the hell was Barbie being pushed into a world of nightmares like that of Dr. Moreau's island with unnatural predatory creatures. Somehow, the Barbie and wolf pair gave off an unsettling energy, indicating captivity more than companionship. The latter, with its glassy eyes and sly grin, muddled what was supposed to be a fairy tale crossover. It suggested something darker and ominous was just around the corner, waiting for Barbie to let her guard down. Haunted beauty mistress of the manor Barbie. Yeah, no, I am not going to sugarcoat this. At this point, it seemed like Barbie had lost it. The next thing you know, she would be packed as Jane Eyre's madwoman in the attic, Bertha Mason. The haunted beauty mistress of the manor Barbie made her debut in 2014 and was designed by Bill Greening to be intentionally gothic. She appeared as a ghostly owner, whose living room might very well have skeleton heads. She sported a dramatic sweeping skirt with a plum jacket. Her dark hair was tied in a tight bun with some streaks of white, with eyebrows crooked in the most menacing possible manner. Simply put, she had an overwhelmingly mysterious vibe. The makers made sure to give us goosebumps with Barbie's accessories as well. It included rusty-looking manor keys, a candelabra, and a small book named Life in the Scream House. The official description stated she greeted guests in her haunted mansion, which instantly evokes a sense of dread and mystery. Barbie had come far from only being in her little pink dresses now. She appeared to be a hostess with horrible secrets hidden in each corner of the building, which looked straight out of Edgar Allan Poe's stories in our imagination. She did not just look enchanting, she resembled those typical women in period horrors where something terrible happens to the unsuspecting protagonists. I mean, you would look at her and be compelled to wonder why she smirked menacingly after someone takes the first steps inside the house. Empress of the Aliens Barbie. A couple of years before she became a gothic mistress, Barbie was planning for an alien invasion. Trust me, I am not making it up. Released in 2011 as a gold label collector doll, Barbie appeared as though the Queen Xenomorph just came out of plastic surgery. She was posed in a rather sensual manner in a full-length gown made of net and a piece of garment with a dark purple reptile texture. The sleeves were long and cut out of chiffon with metallic shoulder armor. This alien empress also had ornate cuffs around the ankle, wrists, and forehead, with magenta hair to complete her intergalactic look. At first glance, she appears extremely bold and rebellious, but if you look closely enough, the Martian elements have bestowed upon her a cunningness that frankly seems a bit disturbing. I absolutely acknowledge the avant-garde designing and all, but this stark departure from how Barbies generally appear turns them into more than just a collector's item. It's as if Barbie is a royal member sent from an alien kingdom, constantly observing us and calculating a coup against humankind with her otherworldly intelligence. Maybe I am reading a bit too much between the lines here, but I'm sure you can't deny that this particular product was quite an insane creation. Haunted Ghost Barbie. This one's right in our faces. This Barbie, which hit the curator's shelves in 2012, was meant to scare the shit out of us. Someone probably murdered Barbie, and now she's trapped in a limbo between life and death. In an ancient manor with abandoned rooms, ghostly whispers can be heard, and from the jet-black darkness, something shadowy emerges. It's none other than Barbie in an ethereal white dress with bell sleeves and a long skirt, the hem of which appears to be badly torn. For a moment, you'd think she's not real, but an apparition. Her hair is a frighteningly pale shade of platinum with an odd chain hanging around her body, as if she were buried with this mysterious silvery shackle. The haunted ghost Barbie's face is painted in a way that is bound to evoke paranormal feelings and make you think about what a sublime spirit you have just encountered. Let me make it a little more complex. There are tons of angel Barbie dolls, right? Well, what if we were to hypothesize that the restless soul of this haunted Barbie exacted her revenge on the living and then found peace, transcending to the level of fairies? Food for thought, huh? Marie Antoinette Barbie. Yet another treat for the Barbie connoisseurs. The Marie Antoinette edition reeked of discomfort. It's not unknown to anyone that she suffered a tragically gruesome death. Marie has inspired dolls in the Addams family, like Wednesday carrying her headless toy. You see where I'm going with this. The history of this young French queen is so painful and brutal that you wouldn't really want to link it with a regular kid's plaything. However, by now we know Mattel does a lot of questionable things, and producing a Marie Antoinette Barbie in 2003 is one such example. She looked gorgeous in a regal 18th century vintage dress, adorned with golden laces and elegant embroideries, and topped with a feathered hat. With some jewelry and a higher than usual neck, this Barbie gave out a certain sense of uneasiness. It looks as if she is struggling under the weight of her heavily ornamented gown, as if she is stuck in time. The stiff, towering posture only adds to the aura of looming doom. The doll is spectacular to look at, but once the shadows of the past century start falling on her beautifully drawn face, your heart would sink knowing the dreadful message this Barbie is carrying under all the decadence. Also, according to many Barbie archivists, the longer neck accentuated her royal position. But it's nearly impossible to overlook the irony of giving a Marie Antoinette doll an extended neck. Marvelous verdict. Alright, here we are. Apologies to any and all Barbie lovers whose favorite creepy-looking Barbie I might have dissected. But hey, let's be honest, some of them definitely did not age well and are pretty bizarre. Despite all the criticisms, necessary upgrades, and inclusivity, Barbies are supposed to be just comforting at the end of the day. A kid would want to enjoy some innocent playtime and not be anxious about it quietly recording her or dismantling it to find a plastic fetus inside. That's the last thing on earth that should be used to teach biology. Nonetheless, we have witnessed some of the weirdest versions of this otherwise attractive doll, and with the pumpkin carving season getting closer, it's difficult to not revisit them. That being said, I would still enjoy collecting a newly launched variant. Yeah, I'm no Ross Geller. I love Barbies. That's all for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this ride in the Barbie world. I'll see you in the next one. Toodles! And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks everyone.